This is a Rolex Oysterdate from 1959, but it's not running as well as it should do, and in this video I'm going to attempt to repair it and service it and get it running nice and sweet again. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and well, I've been repairing watches on YouTube now for 7.5 years, and in that time I've covered all kinds of watches, all kinds of brands, digital watches, cheap watches, expensive watches. I have never covered a Rolex, so this little Rolex here is the first one to ever grace my bench. Am I nervous? No. I'm very, very excited to see what it's all about, and yeah, sadly it's not my watch. I really wish it was. It's a peach of a little thing, this. But it's a friend of mine who's bought it, and yes, it's not running very, very well at all. And I think we're going to find a few problems ahead. So let's get straight into it. Let's get to the bench and show you the watch. So here's the first close-up look at the watch, and the first thing you can see is the Cyclops. The whole crystal is completely in the wrong position. Terrible, to be honest with you. Why you'd even send it out like that, I don't know. When you look at the sides, you can see how tall this crystal's sitting. It's just an acrylic crystal. But yeah, it's not the right one for the watch at all, and yeah, very sad to see, to be honest with you. My friend sent this somewhere to just, he says, oh, I need the case tarting up, which is, you know, just make it look a little bit better. He said it looked really bad to start with. So whoever he sent it to, well, shall I speak badly of them? All they've done here is got some Scotch-Brite type material and just given it a wipe. Look at the clasp, for instance. You can see the scratches are not very parallel. It's just, I don't know. To me, I can do a lot better than that at home. The lugs, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Side, they've just tried to lightly polish the sides, which is fair enough, a lot of scratches. But no, it's naff. The bezel, look at the bezel. Hopefully you can see it in the light. What's happened here, it has got some scratches, but there's some sort of ribbon you can sometimes see. Really doesn't come across on camera, I don't think. Just look at the reflection with the white bit here. And all that is they've used a type of felt wheel or a sisal wheel to try and remove some of the scratches. And then instead of coming down the grades to make it smoother and a much more polished feel, they've just finished it and said that's enough. Not original crown, but again, fair enough. The bracelet is a Rolex bracelet. We have the codes. I am being told from a friend of mine that it is actually the wrong bracelet for the watch, but you know, let's face it, it's had a bit of a life from 1959. But the dial, well, to me the dial is beautiful. I love these little small watches like this, and yes. So now you've seen all the pitfalls of the cosmetics. Hopefully the inside is not going to be a horror show. There is an issue when winding. It's a hand winding only movement. Don't know which movement it is yet. It's a screw down crown. So we can, hopefully you might be able to hear this winding. Now it's stopped. So it's not winding at all. The crown's moving. If I wind back and then wind forwards, it starts to wind again, then there's a click. And that, I think, is possibly a broken mainspring, or at least the arbor's not connecting to the mainspring. That's what it feels like to me, and that would account for some poor running. Let's put it on the time grapher and see if that backs up anything. Here we are on the timographer then. I've got the lift angle set to 52 degrees because I don't know what the movement is yet, but looking at the trace, it isn't too bad, to be honest with you. The amplitude is very low, I reckon, for a movement like this. The beat error is terrible at 2.1 milliseconds. We need to close that up. The rate's down, that's understandable. Amplitude's changed, again, that's a good indication that there's issues with the power. But the all important thing is we are getting fairly parallel lines, and that would at least indicate to me at the moment that I've not looking for any bent wheels, pivots, anything untoward other than possibly a service and a mainspring. So yeah, definitely got something to work with, and there's definitely going to be a bit of hope in this watch. And I've already slightly loosened the case back. sticky ball gets into nearly every case known to man. There we go then, here is the movement. It is a 1225. I'm sure the Rolex experts who might be watching this would have already guessed that. Probably when I gave out the year I would have thought. First impressions, well, it looks nice. I was expecting a bit more fancier finishing on the tops perhaps. Some Côte de Genève striping or something, but then that's just me. But other than that, it's just a very standard looking movement. Nice that we've got the wheel here, you can just see it going around, and that's powering a little pinion here that is actually, the second hand is attached to that. So that's how that mechanism is working there. You need a special tool to remove this, which I've got fortunately. We have a Seiko-esque horseshoe spring holding the cap jewel in there, and I can tell you now I am not touching that at all. I'll just clean it really well. Normally I could take these out on Seikos, but on a Rolex of this stature or age should I say, no chance, because if I lose it I don't know if I'm going to get another one. Right, on with the disassembly then. I'll just have to power down the movement first. A little bit like disarming a bomb. So I'm going to wind it. This is the click here, holds it all on, and hopefully we can just take the click, move it to one side, and that's not winding down all that fast. Indicates to me not a lot of power, which again would go hand in hand with what we were saying. So that should be there or thereabouts safe enough to start work on. So I've got to remove the hands, and just looking at them, they're quite badly tarnished. We have T down here, which I'm assuming is tritium, which means the lume plots here will be slightly radioactive, and no doubt the little bit of lume that is in the hands as well. Just always be careful working on old watches that contain radium, especially because that stuff can be a little bit harmful to your health, certainly if you ingest it. Lovely finish to the date disc, and that's just held on by lots of it by a little spring thing here. And a lot nice under here, bit of perlaging look, yes, very attractive. Now this is another movement ring, if you like, spacer ring, so I need to remove that now by turning it over, and then we can tackle the movement properly. Now first impressions are, well, I do love the perlage here, the nice golden wheels, but it's the screws. The screws just feel lovely, nicely slotted, they're not damaged. They're probably all hand turned, handmade, hand polished. But yes, really like those. Of course, I've now got to do my best not to mar any of them. And we just had a wheel fly away. I need to rescue it. So we've got your basic yoke, set-in lever and yoke spring. The yoke here is glistening, so it's definitely got a little bit of oil there. See the colour difference on it? That's the oil. Take out the clutch and the winding pinion. Says lever has a screw on the dial side, as I'll come back to that. Again, a lovely, lovely screw. Look at it, all polished. So the hour wheel and the minute wheel. And we have the cannon pinion, it's called. Cannon pinion transfers all the motion from the train and the barrel and everything else over to the other side of the movement to power the hands. I know most of you might know that, but not everybody does. So it's an interesting little feature, how to power or how to transfer the power from one side of the movement to the other. And that's this side done. Okay, we have the shock jewels, but we'll leave those in for cleaning. Okay, this is where all the action happens on this side. First of all, we'll remove the balance for safe keeping. Now, this is where the more experienced or different folks, different people will probably get twitchy about my stainless steel tweezers that I use, because they can mark and scratch cases, well, parts, if you like. I have a very light touch, but admittedly on a watch like this perhaps I should use brass. Now remove the pallets while I'm here as well. Interestingly, there's nowhere to lever. Normally a little cutout. And Rodrigo's not going to do it either, so here we go. Again, don't want to mark anything. Hopefully I got away with that. Last thing I want to do is break a pivot. Hi guys, I hope you're enjoying the video, and just a quick advert break really to promote my t-shirts. I've got a store that I'm opening very soon called time-tees.com. There'll be a link down below. And on that store you can buy merch. Basically, I've made lots of different types of t-shirts that are all watch related in some way or another, and I will be selling some vintage watches that I've serviced or repaired, and it's a way for you to help the channel but me to give something back in return. So that will be going live soon. I'll make a little video to announce that as well, but you can get there early now, have a look at the site, put your email address in and register, and then that way as soon as it goes live you'll be the first guys to swoop in and hopefully buy something. Thanks very much for that, and let's get back to the video. And the pinion. There we are. That's what the second hand sits on. Really, really small screws, but absolutely beautifully made. Let's try and give you an idea of size, right? This is one UK penny, which is quite tarnished, and this is the small Rolex, hand polished no doubt, screw on top of a penny. Look, crazy, isn't it? That is what we're dealing with here at high precision as well, at sizes like that. And we can see slight marring to this one. Not surprised, it's got all the power in it. and really surprising. Look, it was really loose. I wonder if that's what the problem was, just that the screw was loose. Should try and deal with the click spring. Not sure how best to... oh, there we go, it's done it for me. Last thing I want to do is lose any of these. I think this bit of the watch here is ever so slightly magnetised as well. Another screw, really loose. Lovely long screws, look. So far I'm really impressed. It's nice to work on something like this. And yeah, it makes me want one. This exact model, this exact watch really. So this is the setting lever screw, which I'll undo later on off camera probably. So we just got this one bridge now. Yeah, we're missing a screw, aren't we? We're missing a screw for the bridge. I didn't even notice that. Well, that's going to be fun because, well, I don't know if I'll be able to get a screw. And there's all the train of wheels, barrel, quite badly scratched, all the way down to the escape wheel. And that's how it transfers, all with the ratios, the right ratios. Great bit of engineering. And there we are. Disassembled. We'll go into the mainspring in just a moment. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That went well. It went apart really easily. Hopefully it goes back just as well. Not that much sign of dirt. There is a little bit of tarnish or something going on around here, but we'll put everything through the cleaning machine and see what gives. So now time to find out what might or might not be wrong in here. Really fiddly things to do on camera, I know that much. Especially as the arbor is staying put. Right, sorry, I had to take it away there. The lid was stuck on to the arbor, but the mainspring doesn't look broken to me. So that clicky sound might have just been quite literally the loose screw on the ratchet wheel that holds it all together, and it's just not biting enough because it's wobbling around perhaps, and that will have come loose, I guess, through wear and tear, people just winding the watch up. I will remove the mainspring anyway. Okay guys, let's rebuild the Rolex. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to install a new mainspring. So with these, you just place them on the top. As you can see, I put a bit of grease here on the lid and on the bottom, and that's just to help the barrel along. And the blue facing up would mean that this is the way it goes in for the direction of the spring. And all we've got to do is carefully push a little bit at a time. And there we go. And with the arbor in, I can put the lid on. And I also have a little tool that just pushes the lid on like so. I'm going to pre-oil this. This is the Escape Jewel and it has the horseshoe spring on the other side. Now I've cheated a little bit. I washed the movement first. I've actually inspected it on the microscope with the uplight on my stereoscope, that is, not the digital one you're looking at now, and it's clean, so I don't want to disturb that spring, so I'm going to use my auto oiler to give that some oil now. Start off with the escape wheel. This can sometimes be a real fiddle trying to get them seated. And you know, these Rolex are supposed to be nice to work on from a watchmaker's perspective. And I will say that the wheels do feel nice and solid. With some movements you find they're just a little bit thinner or a bit sort of tinny. These definitely seem like they made some good material. So quick thing for people who do this or act as a hobby. I got a tip a little while ago from a very well long served watchmaker friend of mine, and he says always try and put the train in before the barrel. You can usually get the barrel in. Because if you try to put the bridge on now, you have more access, certainly to this wheel and things, to get it all lined up. So I'm going to try that theory. So in general, the train bridge is the hard thing to fit. What always hampers me is cameras. And straight away I can see that these two jewels are in instantly. I don't know about the escape. My guess is the escape won't be. If we look at the way, I can see it here, look, it's sticking out, so nice one. That is a shame. I thought I got it all in one go. The escape had completely escaped its position, but there we go. Maybe that's why they call it the escape. Well, victory very early on. That can be a real faff, and on this watch it certainly hasn't been. I've also pre-oiled this one here as well. We'll oil everything else separately as well a little bit later on. So I just want a bit of D5, some thicker lubrication just in there, because that's where the barrel's going to sit. You can, of course, oil the barrel arbor itself. And now we'll test the theory. And the theory is correct, look, it goes straight in. That's nice. And you can see again, it's still operating everything as it should do. These bridges are always a bit easier to fit as well. The hard part really is done already. Okay, that's sitting down. We've got 3 screws to go on there, and we'll also drop a little bit of D5 into that there too. Someone asked me recently about screws and how tight you do them. And I don't know is the answer to that. I just do them finger tight. I think it's all about a feel. Can you over tighten them? Possibly can. But there's no torque settings. It's just a feel thing. Don't do them too loose. Watches will vibrate and move around. And every now and again I open a watch up, certainly Seiko's, that haven't been serviced forever, and you do find that some of the plate screws like these are really, really loose. Just flow a little bit of oil down into there. That's called the crown wheel, and it's part of the transfer of power from the wind into the mainspring. And I just need to get a little bit of oil in the ridge. I won't do it fully up, at least not until we've got this one in. I'm still absolutely in love with these screws though, gotta say. Then we'll fit the click. And once again, it's a screw with a shoulder. Now sometimes I fit the screw and the click first and the spring afterwards. Sometimes I do it the opposite way around. We'll find out if I've done it the right way now. Little springs like this can be a real nuisance. That was a real heart stopper. A real heart stopper. They're normally not that difficult, but that one, I don't know, maybe I'm building up psychologically in my mind because of what I'm working on. I'll blame it on that, why not? Yeah, there you go, because that now fits on there perfectly. The little stud thing is behind that, so it will get the resistance it's required. And that's the reality of this hobby, you know. I can edit this to high hell and make it look really, really professional, but I like to try and inspire people into it. And you know, here I am, seven and a half years in, and I'm still working stuff out as I go along. And now, because I'm talking to you live, I can't get the damn screw in. Because equally, the voice you hear is usually me talking whilst I'm working. And for those who do this as a hobby, you try doing that. Give yourself a commentary. It ain't easy. And now I'm wondering, it's not getting any of the spring effect, is it? It should be that should be over the other side. Yeah, it's the small stuff that messes you about sometimes. Tell you what, let's just turn it over, because some of you might be watching this just for fun and you don't know what it is. There's a little lug here, you see, it sticks up, catches on the spring, creates a bit of resistance. This whole thing is to stop backlash. So when you wind the crown, it's going to wind this, it's going to wind a gear I'm going to put on the top of here, which it then winds the mainspring inside that barrel. And without the click, grabbing hold of the teeth, the barrel will just unravel every time. So it's sort of critical little piece, to be honest with you. And yeah, just not playing ball because I'm not concentrating. It's also a really small screw. And now I'm still I hope I'm not wasting your time, fellas, but I think I was right the first time. There's no resistance at all. Okay, right, well, the next shot you'll see is me putting the ratchet wheel on. I'm giving up. Let's finally fit the ratchet wheel, and I can't get that wrong. Or can I? So we've got to get the square hole all lined up with the gears and the teeth. And as you can see, power is going. So the train and the click is working how it should. And this is the pallet fork. And this is the pallet cock, and that holds it in. I just need to check on my stereoscope that the pivot is through there, or else I'll snap it. Okay, with some wind in the movement, we want to see the pallet fork move, click from side to side, as it's doing now, look. And there we go. It never gets old, that bit, but on a Rolex it's just that little bit more special. It looks like it's beating quite nicely. There's some nice features on this balance wheel, and I'll show you them a little bit later, but for now let's just get the screw in and continue. Okay, time to remove the shock tool. I've already done the one on the balance, so I'm going to just show you the one on the underside of the plate. And not easy again. I'm always full of excuses, but it ain't easy on this digital microscope. So there's a little bit of heart and mouth. I'll try it with some tweezers first. These are really, really small tweezers as well. So we're just going to undo the sides As you can see, that just hinges up, and then I can take that out and remove it with Watchmaker's multi-tool, and that is Rodico. A very dirty piece of Rodico I've got here. So you may remember this bit of oiling if you saw the Seiko video where it took me ages to do it, and that's because the microscope is about 2 inches away from the jewel. And just again to try and give you a bit of perspective, I'll bring that penny back in again. That's what we're dealing with. It is absolutely, utterly tiny. And I've got to put a little bit of oil smack bang in the centre of that. And I do this for fun. Can you believe it? Surely there must be better things to do. Take two. Take three. Take three. Hooray! Finally in. That took ages. Absolutely ages. Mobius 9010. It's a thinner oil for these dual pivots, and we do not do the escape. Just while I am here, I will put a bit of D5 on this pillar in preparation for when I come to fit the cannon pinion. There we go. Wow, that was hard. Couple of friction points, so again just a little touch of D5. The minute wheel. And the winding pinion that I've already greased. For those wondering which grease I use, the blue grease, it is a Mobius 9504. And that's the clutch. As you can see, the yoke has now slipped out from the clutch. Should have put the crown in really, I think. There we are, just got myself out of jail. And I somehow need to engage it with the setting lever, but I'm going to have to put the screws in first, I think. Get a couple of them in. a little bit and then see if I can manipulate it. Perfect. And this is part of the calendar mechanism. Been in love with these screws, and I've been trying my best also not to mark them. I don't want to leave my clumsiness inside. I'm trying to do as a professional job as I can. A little bit of oil there just for the last wheel, which is the hour wheel. And the hour wheel's got to go on before that, look. Nice try, Michael. So I have to fit the friction fit wheel, and to do that I need to use my hand press just to squash it on. And there we go. For my own sanity, I did it off camera. Apologies if you wanted to see that. It's nothing special, you just push it down, but I wanted to get it right, especially when you're right at the end now. Any mishaps now would be devastating. So I have the minute pinion here, and I just need to oil that little bit there. I'm just checking to make sure it's meshed. I can see it turning, which is a good sign. I'm feeling quite chuffed with myself right now. Not a challenging movement by any stretch. Although this thing's looking a bit fiddly, but it's just nice. Just seems to be going together rather well. I say rather well. This thing's annoying. I think I'll get the screw in a little bit to start with. Of course, this was the missing screw. So look, while I'm at this point, I've probably said it already, but I'll say it again. If you're enjoying the video, give it a like. That's all I want to ask for, and it really, really does help the algorithm push my videos to more viewers, which is what I want. I want to reach more people and inspire more of you to pick up some tools and actually have a go at this. It is a lot of fun. So yeah, hit the like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. So if you're wondering what this little bit is, it's just a spring to put some tension onto the second. See, the second hand goes on this. So if it didn't have any tension on it, the second hand would go around and it'd be a little bit stuttery. This is pretty much the last part. And this is the spring to hold the date wheel in position so it doesn't just keep spinning around. Gives it a bit of tension. And two more of the world's smallest ever screws. Right, and then we'll just put a little bit of D5 in here where it actually makes contact. And we'll put the date wheel on, although I might have to take it off in just a moment. And that's how it goes, like that. That was epic. Really enjoyed that build. Simple movement, made it look as hard as possible. That's my style. Love this radial brushing on there. Looks really nice, doesn't it? So what I've got to do now is test the movement on the time grapher, which could be entertaining because I've gone to all that effort. Normally I'd have done it by now, but I got carried away. So I'll set up for that, and then if we need to make any adjustments, of course, I'll show you that too. Hi guys, sorry, another interrupt. If you're enjoying this video, hit the like button. It's down here, or maybe down here, depending on the device that you're looking at. It really helps the algorithm, and if I can get lots of likes in this video, I would be very, very grateful. So hit the like, subscribe maybe, but wait till the end for that. One last thing, because lots of people ask me in the comments about this, my eye loop that is attached to my glasses. These are from a company called Donegan, so D-O-N-E-G-A-N. I think they're American. We can get them from Cousins UK. They are quite expensive. I think this one alone was about 30 UK pounds. Clips onto any type of glasses you've got. I'm mainly using the 2.5, I think, or the ×3. That's all I tend to use. I've got a bigger one for close-up work, but I rarely use it. Okay, back to the video. Thank you. Right, so here we are on the time grapher, and well, I've had a lot of new subscribers from the last Seiko Turtle video, and I know a lot of you who have subscribed don't really know much about watches either, so I figured I'd better try and explain a little bit about this machine and what it's trying to do. So this is basically how to try and set the accuracy for a mechanical watch, and we have the rate, and this is seconds per day. So this is telling us at the moment the watch is running 10 seconds per day. On quartz watches you're getting half a second a day or something silly like that. Mechanical watches are never going to be anywhere near as accurate as that, but 10 seconds is pretty reasonable. There's lots of other things to take into consideration. Position, so you can get positional error where the watch is in different positions. So you've got to think, if you're sitting down and your arms out straight on a desk, that's one position. If you're walking down the road and your wrist is swinging, that's another position. So you try to set or check the different positions for error and find the happy medium. Amplitude, so amplitude is almost an indication of health. It is the degrees of which the balance wheel spins, and it'll spin, go through the pallet fork and come out the other side. So it's like an arc, if you like, and they do vary depending on what movements you're working on. 241 amplitude, to me, I'm not 100% happy with it. I'd like this to be 260, 270. I don't know this movement, and obviously if it's 1959, it is quite old. So at the moment I'm sticking to saying it's okay, but it could be better. Lastly, well, kind of lastly, beat error. So beat error is, the best way to look at beat error is the tick and the tock. So if you think about a pendulum and it's swinging, it is how long it takes to swing one way and how long it takes to swing the other way, and this is in milliseconds. So you want the swing on both arcs. So in other words, this is how the balance spins around, goes through the pallet fork and comes around the other side. So it's the distance of travel really from the center point of the pallet fork. So you might think, well, a millisecond isn't a lot, but when this thing is beating at, I'm trying to think, it'll change here and tell us how many beats. So yeah, so 21,600 beats per hour. So those milliseconds soon start to add up. So you want to try and close that down as best you can. And then lastly, well, obviously I've just explained what that is, and then so you've got a degrees. This is just again about the degrees of the balance wheel. It's a technical thing, and having the correct I forgot what we call it now, lift angle, sorry, will determine some of these numbers a bit more. You can play safe, keep it on 52. The amplitude changes, the rate and the beat error pretty much stay the same. So there we go. That is, well, it's a 3-minute or so introduction how these work. I'm sorry for the people who do know, but there we go. So what we're going to try and do now is adjust live. You liked this in the last video, so I thought I'd bring it into this one. It is a difficult thing to do because they're fine movements, and when I'm hampered by cameras, 2 cameras, it is pretty difficult. So hopefully we're going to get it right. And well, also the parallel lines. So the parallel lines, the better they are, so ignore these dots because that's when I'm talking and there's some reverberation and things going on. So if this was going up and down and wonky and everything else, it's going to tell me that there's a wheel bent inside or something's going wrong. So the straighter the line, the healthier the movement actually is. And the gap between here is essentially this beat error. So as I reduce the beat error, you're trying to get these to meet and almost become one, if you can be that lucky. So now we are looking at this view. So this is my regulator, and that will determine the rate, so we can go faster or slower. And this is called the stud, and that's the end of the hairspring there, and the stud will determine my beat error. And I'm going to try and nudge this without trying to touch the balance wheel, which is really blooming difficult because I cannot judge where I am. See, I keep going like this because I think I'm touching it and I'm not. I'll aim for that screw. And if we're looking at a split screen, we should be looking at which way we're going. So are the lines getting wider? I'll put another bit of movement in if I can. And without a question, those lines have got bigger, haven't they? They've got further away from each other and the beat error is increasing. So we have gone the wrong way, essentially. So I now need to come to the other side of this and come back. And now the question is, have I already now gone too far? .1, so yes. They're really fine movements, basically. Some watches seem to be more fine than others. This is so crude the way I'm doing this, and on a Rolex of all watches. And the trace is now in the worst place possible for me to try and make a fine adjustment on the fly, because I need to see those lines next to each other really. So there we go, look, that's close enough as far as I'm concerned. I'll just move that camera a little bit and let it catch up with itself. So we're now down to 0.4. The ideal place really is 0.0 or 0.1. For this video, because this is taking so long to film, I'm keeping it at 0.4. I will tweak it again, I think, off camera. But there you go, that is a bit of insight. I really do hope you found that useful. If you did, of course, comment below. Feedback is always appreciated. The hands are pretty tarnished. This is the hour hand, so I'm going to try and clean them up a little bit using the Bergen hand and dial cleaner, which is a bit like a digital camera's sensor cleaner. It's got a little bit of suede leather on the end. So I'm going to carefully swipe that over, and careful is the right word here. You can quite easily catch the point, and then you might bend the hand, but you can see straight away makes quite a big difference. Now, you're not going to get rid of all of it because it is tarnish, so it's oxidization, rust and so on, but we can certainly improve them by giving them a good rub basically. And I'll do that now as well on all of the hands, but you've just seen it here for this one. And remember that clicking at the start of the video on wind? You can see it here, look. Sometimes it winds, and it clicks, doesn't do anything. And it's to do with the crown. The crown has spring loaded, and when it's all the way out, it locks. And then when it's slightly pushed in, it unlocks. And basically when you're winding it, you're ever so slightly pushing it in, and therefore it's clicking. So it's a faulty crown, really. Right, lastly, before we sum up the video and show you the finished watch, so I went out and bought some goodies. Obviously, I bought the mainspring. I wasn't happy with the crystal that came with the watch. I thought it was a bit too tall. It turns out they are meant to be tall, and that is all to do with the water resistance. So I went to this company here called Gleave. Probably see it better on one of the gasket things. Gleave & Co, based in London. A bit like Cousins, only a little bit cheaper. So there's another tip for you guys. Anyone out there hasn't heard of these guys, go and have a look at them. Crystal, I think, was £8 plus VAT, so £10 really. And this is the crystal that's come. It's acrylic, which is fine. It is only a smidge thinner, excuse my finger cuts, but it has got a little bevel around the edge to give it a bit more interest. So we'll fit that, and we'll cut now to the finished watch. So here it is, the finished watch, and yes, it looks pretty much the same as it did before, but it's what's happened on the inside that counts. And I have broken my Rolex virginity, and I've finally done one, and it's superb. But like anything you do for the first time, you're always going to remember it, and I'm hankering after this watch now, and I want to see if I can potentially do a deal with my friend. I'm not sure if he'll oblige, but if he does, I'll be very, very happy. Yeah, here it is on my wrist, and I love the colour of it, to be honest. Yeah, it looks nice, doesn't it? Cyclops is in the right place for once, and you can see I've rebrushed the bracelet a little bit just to make it a bit more sort of parallel brushing, really. I may attempt to have a go at the case off camera. Here's the movement, and you can see it now all running in its splendour. Now, I did tweak it a little bit more, so you can see how well I got it on the time grapher now. So here it looks pretty spectacular, but don't be too fooled. I mean, yes, we've got beat error of 0 and the rate of 0, but in actual reality, this thing is running in and around 10 seconds positionally, and the beat error does seem to creep to 0.1, but it's a dramatic improvement than what we had to start. I've been really pleased to have worked on this Rolex. It's not ostentatious at all. I think it's from an era where they were just a good watch rather than a status symbol. What I love about this as well is it's a hand wind only. So it's way before all the automatic stuff, and that means you've got to interact with this watch every single day to give it a wind, and I love little bits like that. The quality is definitely there in the movement. You saw all the perlage and decoration. The screws to me were really nice. They just feel good, you know. And yeah, it went apart and was put back together again with relative ease, and yeah, loved it. Hopefully it's not going to be the last Rolex I show on the channel. I've better start saving some money to show you another one in the future. So that's it. If you enjoyed the video, and I hope you did, then please give it a like. Comment below. I read every single one. I do try to reply to as many as I can. If you're new here, want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you've already hit the subscribe button, then also make sure that you're clicking the bell icon for all, and that way you're going to get notified every time I post a new video. So that's it for now. There'll be more coming along very soon. So bye for now, and thank you.